Felt that. So Courtney Bolden, better known to me as Daddy. He was my heart. He was truly my Superman. He's one of the most amazing and strong and resilient people I've ever met. Before I continue and tell you a little bit about that song that you heard, I just want to take a moment to lift up my brother David, his wife Antoinette, and my niece and nephew for taking care of Grandpa. I think it's been like 12 years of care. My brother's kindness and generosity in assisting Mr. Bolden is out of this world. And I just want to thank you, David. Thank you so much for taking care of Daddy. Now, that song you heard, which is A Little Prayer for You by Aretha Franklin originally, that was Leanne LaHavas' rendition. That's a special moment for me in my childhood when Daddy would get up in the morning to get ready for work. He's a music man. So that music would come blasting on in the radio. I think it was a station on AM radio 640, and it played oldies from the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. And it would wake up everybody in the house, not just Daddy, everybody. But in the morning, when Aretha would come on, and it would say, "The moment I wake up," I would always pray that I would wake up to that song so I could greet Daddy off with a praise and a prayer for the day. And that was always a special moment for me. I would wake up and I would be dancing in my bed a little bit. And until he was ready to go to work, that radio really didn't go off. And that was just during the weekday. And then there was the weekend, where then he goes downstairs and turns on the big radio when he wakes up. Doesn't matter if we're all sleeping. When Daddy's up, the music is on in our house. And if you've ever visited the house, you know that music was always radiating through the house. So the best way for me to describe my father, because there's so many levels to him to discuss, I figured I would just focus on the C in his name, Courtney. So creativity came to mind for me as one of the biggest and most influential things that Daddy shared with me. Like I said, he was a music man. And Daddy played in a band, and that band used to practice in our basement on Sunday evenings. And that's a school night for a young girl under 10. I used to sit on the stairs because at that age, you're looking for any way to stay up. So I would sit on the stairs and they would play, and Mommy would be trying to get me to go to bed, and Daddy would say, "Just leave her. Just leave her there." So the band would play, and eventually I would fall asleep on those stairs. It's in those moments that the music started to turn to colors for me in my mind. And these were the first seeds planted of the creativity that started being birthed in me as an artist, because the music was helping me to see those colors. So that's a moment that I will never forget. And it was like a 5-piece band. There was a guitar player, a bass player, a drummer who was always falling asleep, Daddy with the sax, and every now and then there was a trumpet player. But those are moments I will never, ever forget. He was authentic. And I believe that he did learn that saxophone. He was self-taught. He learned to read music later, but he was definitely self-taught. He was also an engineer, and I watched his creativity as he drew his machines out on these beautiful scaled sheets. And he had impeccable handwriting. And the way that he could use that ruler, like today there's all kinds of software that we can work with to create these programs. But Daddy was doing it with a pencil and a piece of paper and a ruler. Technology could die and my dad would still be able to design a rectifier, okay? These were the first seeds planted of showing manifestation. The fact that those drawings then would turn into these huge machines that would help these companies with whatever it was that they were marketing or producing was always amazing to me. When he would take me to his company and show, remember the drawing I did on the paper? Oh, this is the machine that was built. I always was in amazement of that. So I look at that and I think, he was fearless. He knew what his gifts and his talents were, and he moved forward in them. And he definitely instilled that. My father really showed me that anything is possible. And as children, for us, my brother and I, he always pushed education. Education was very important to my father. And being the artist in the family, listen, I don't care what it is you want to do, just make sure you get a piece of paper to go along with it so that there's more opportunities out there for you. And I'm grateful to him for giving that to me. So that was creativity. Let's see, when it comes to the music, oh yes. Friday evenings at the house was great anticipation in my childhood because that meant that Daddy went down to Kensington Market to bring home all the latest vinyl that was out there. He had an unbelievable vinyl collection. Even had Ray Charles' 1962 country album, okay? It was just amazing. Some of the music that he would bring home, The Car Wash, Ring My Bell, these are just a few of the ones that would ring through our home, but it was such excitement. So when it came to creativity, he was always nurturing us, and especially around music. When Name That Tune came on, you could always hear him calling me from somewhere, Donna Lee, Name That Tune's on, come. And because he always had the music on in the house, he would test me with that show. Say, what's the song? And you play it every weekend. I would always know the songs and he would love it and he would laugh. And that's just because of what was already in me. This man and his music is just one of the most beautiful and treasured moments that I shared with my dad. Another C word was cuisine. My father loved to cook. He loved his food. If Dad said he was waking up Sunday morning to bake sweetbread, I could tell you it wasn't one, it was going to be 6 to 8 loaves of sweetbread so that he could share it with friends and family. Just by a show of hands, how many of you here had an opportunity to taste some of Daddy's food? Yes, man, a good amount of people. So you understand when I say chicken rings, crispy chicken with honey, deep fried turkey, based with his syringe baser that he had to put underneath the skin of the turkey, potato salad, my favorite, black-eyed peas and rice, curry turkey wings. Listen, I could go on. And when Dad caught a new recipe, I'll never forget, spring rolls. Lord, spring rolls. He didn't make 10, he made about 125 at one time. He was always about perfection and mastering the art of whatever he took on. So he was somebody who went full circle with anything he took on. It was a full circle love experience with my father. He also had a love for community. And one of the biggest communities that surrounded me as a child was Club Fuanga. FU for fun, AN for, and GA for games. Fun and games. Club Fuanga. I will never forget Club Fuanga. I'm sure he's hanging out right now with Uncle Evans and just Joan Gloria. There's the Black Winds. There's so many people that they must be rejoicing and having a basement bashment somewhere up there in heaven. I believe that my parents were the original OG of basement bashment, for sure. There was many a night where at Club Fuanga, it was every last Saturday of the month, you would have a social. And at that social, you were allowed to bring a guest or two. And people came to the house and they had an extraordinary time because of the hospitality at our house. And it would be really hot in the basement, and sometimes people were partying so much they would just pass out from all the heat and the dancing, right? And it was actually my designated job to go get the smelling salts to help revive some people who had just had such a great time at the Bolden house. But by that time, when they got up, there was coffee and tea and fish cakes and sweet bread and black cake and definitely white rice and curry chicken upstairs. So you never left our house feeling a little bit tipsy. Your belly was always full again. The same way you came in is the same way you left. So I thank my parents for those experiences. As a matter of fact, when they first moved in to Candlewood in the 60s, my mom told me a story that my dad told her, go and knock on all the neighbors' doors and tell them to bring a 2-4 of beer. We just moved in and we're having a party. So that's how they met their neighbors, by throwing these parties. So they were quite the community people and my father loved to share, and he was extremely giving when it came to food and sharing with others. And then there was just the care that he gave as well. I remember my brother playing hockey and all the early mornings that we would be driving to these arenas for my brother to play hockey, and sometimes I would go too. And that was just an amazing thing. He also coached baseball. I remember Dad coaching baseball, and I was so small and just wanted to be up underneath everybody, and I'd be the one carrying the bases. That's what I was allowed to do because I was so tiny. And another very caring story, my father's a very sensitive man. He loved to tell me the story of me being adopted. For those of you who know, I am. But fun fact, that my birth grandmother is actually Bajan. For all the Bajans who always wondered, is she really adopted? Because she looked like Courtney. Our family, that's where my roots are from. So it was really great to find that out and really understand that the resemblance in my face and my features really do come from being Bajan. So he told me a story that when you adopt a child, several months later, maybe 3 to 6 months, you have to go back to Children's Services so that they can see how you're interacting with the baby. And he said, I was so nervous the morning that I had to go back and take you, and I didn't want to do it. So your mother and I get there, and I'm just a mess about it. Your arms are wrapped around my neck. Mommy goes in first, I go in behind her. So all the nuns are sitting there staring at us, and I'm trying to peel you off my body so that they can see you, but your arms are wrapped around my neck. And they look at me and they say, Mr. Bolden, you don't have to sit down. You're free to go. And Daddy said, listen, it was like a cartoon. The puff of smoke, I was out of there. Mommy, he goes, your mother turned around and I was gone. I was in the car, seatbelt on. I gone with this girl. So that's a story that he often loved to tell me, and it just was all about that bond. He was just like, I don't know if you felt my nervousness or what it was, but you knew something was going on and you were not letting me go. So there's all of these beautiful experiences with my father. It's like this circle of love that he has just given me. And with the knowledge and the wisdom and the impact. I will be keeping that forever. And I promise you, Daddy, these arms are still wrapped around your neck, and I'm never letting go. May the circle be unbroken. I love you, Daddy.